I have not been to Minnesota in probably 20 years.
Bring gas. Welcome to Flagrant Howls, a Minnesota Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
All right, Flagrant Howls. We got Kyle just showed me off microphone. He's literally like rewatching the Memphis Wolves. Look at that. The Memphis Wolves game from MLK Day on Monday. Dude, be careful. In the final 5 minutes, you've seen the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark where that guy's face melts off. Just be careful.
I literally have a Word doc that I was just, I don't know if you knew this, but again, our country has paused cancer research. So I've had a lot more time on my hands while we try to solve egg prices. So I was just going through what happened. And from the 6:30 mark of that game on Martin Luther King Day against the Grizzlies, fascinating case study on who should play, who shouldn't play, what the coach is doing right, what the coach is not doing right. And another game that they should have lost, or they should have won, I said, but they lost. And then last night, kind of the same thing against Dallas. Thought they played pretty well. Maybe we can talk about Jaden McDaniels. And they just found the right buttons to pull enough.
You bailed on him, I don't know.
Yeah, I know, right? We should trade back for him since everyone got rid of him. But yeah, it's just, these clutch time things. This is last year's team's identity was defense. This year's team, I don't think you can say it's defense for their identity. Maybe their identity is bad offense, but they've played in the most clutch time games, which I think is like within 4 minutes left. Yeah. And they just, Chris Finch, Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, Rudy, like they just don't know what to do. And that's probably the most concerning thing right now. And it does kind of lead you to think about what does this season mean and big picture and all that stuff that we can get into.
Yes, I know they won yesterday, which is nice. It helps when one of the best players in the world is not playing. I want to shout out a couple of our partners, and then I'd love to introduce another new segment. So we've got the Motor City Minute, which has been going great, tracking that draft pick. I want to launch another segment here called "I Don't Want Chris Finch to Be Fired, However."
Yeah, let's go.
Because there was something yesterday, but Brixworth in the North Loop is just a fantastic place. This is one of my favorite places to belly up, grab some incredible dry rub wings. You see them on the YouTube channel here. They have Cool Ranch Dorito dry rub wings. I mean, who does that? They're ridiculous. Detroit-style pizza and the signature Nasreed Hazy IPA, among other great beer options, too. Brixworth in the North Loop, just steps away from Target Center and Target Field. A great place to gather before and after games, home games, away games. They got the game on the TV for you. They also brew their own craft beer at the OG Burnsville location. Brixworth here on Flagrant Howls. We greatly appreciate their partnership. Also, a Federated Mutual Insurance Company. If you are a business owner out there and you are looking for just more peace of mind, protecting your safety as a business owner, Federated comes in and they focus on safety, preventing claims, and risk management so you can stay focused on growing your business. Federated's been around since 1904. They obviously based in Minnesota, Owatonna, but they work with businesses in all 50 states for those of you who are outside of the Twin Cities area. Federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. I don't want Chris Finch fired. However, last night, Jaden McDaniels, up by 3, goes to the free throw line with, 4 seconds left, 5 seconds left. He's got to make a free throw and the game's over. He misses the front end. All right, little dicey. The Wolves actually were great from the free throw line until late. Ant missed. I think they were like 25 of 26, and then Ant missed one, and then Jaden misses the front end. But if he makes the second one, it's all good. Dallas has no timeouts. Finchy calls a timeout, icing his own free throw shooter to map out if he misses this next free throw, here's what we need to do on defense, I guess, game plan. While Dallas gets to drop their own, they had no timeouts left. So Dallas gets to drop their own inbounds play and gets an extra 60 seconds. I don't want Finch fired, but that drove me nuts last night. Even in a win, I think you'll take W's any way you can get them last night. But Finchy, stop icing your own free throw shooter. Stop giving the Mavericks 60 extra seconds to diagram their own play, okay? He made the second one, so it didn't matter. Kyrie hit like a half-court shot to make it a one-point game. I don't want Finch fired, Kyle, but I just had to get that off my chest.
For those curious, Jaden McDaniels hits the second free throw to make it a 4-point game. You can't really lose in that situation, right? Do you know what the spread was?
Was it
Three,
what? Two?
3.5. So that Kyrie 3 from half court did matter to some.
Oh,
Yeah, a weird situation. I know I've been really pro Chris Finch. I'm still hold Finch stock, but in that specific moment, I think we've talked about this a lot more off record than maybe on record, but like it's a pretty common thing within that building that they don't have the highest level of team basketball IQ. And I think that's why, I mean, it's pretty crazy that you lose Dante DiVincenzo, who was upgraded to a starter, quite possibly your second best offensive player on the team, and your rotation has now somehow gotten smaller, right? Like Rob played 9 minutes yesterday, which to me is like Finch, you just cannot do that. I mean, I'm kind of almost on the point now where I think Rob should just start the rest of the year because I think Dante should be out the rest of the year. Like everyone trying to be an MD on this stuff, like go look what Dante's injury is. He's not coming back.
It's like turf toe / torn ligaments, and every internet reference or doctor says minimum 2 months, right? And maybe even 6 months.
And I'm dumb, but like I just thought, like I hear the word turf or the phrase turf toe, and I'm like, oh, turf. I like football. Toe, I have 10 of them. Go look at what that actually means. Like it's like ripping of muscles. Like his toe is, he should be in a walking boot for a while, and they should just go long term with him, especially as we try to dissect everything that's going on right now. If he was the prize of the Karl-Anthony Towns trade, then shelve him. Then just let him get to 110%, use it as an excuse, embrace the gap year, and lean into more Rob. Now, last night, the timeout and all that stuff, I think Finch probably thought, and maybe he wasn't thinking, because he did gift the Mavericks a free opportunity to set up a play. He did ice one of his players who probably gets in his head a little bit. Jaden did hit it, credit to him. But I think Finch was probably thinking, hell, if Jaden misses this, like I want my guys to know what to do. And I don't know if they would have fouled up 3 or what, but I'm not defending it because I too was like, what are you doing? But I just think he's trying to micromanage a situation where, back to that Grizzlies performance, I thought Rob should have closed, but he closes with Mike. Mike was great last night against the Mavs, but Mike was not great. I think Mike had not hit a basket in clutch time this season.
He was 0 for 10. Hold on, let me pull up the play-by-play. Did he officially get his first clutch time basket last night?
I think so, because Mike Conley was cooking last night. And as Julius Randle said, he's old, referring to Mike, and sometimes take old guys 50 games to figure it out. He's kind of
inside 5 minutes, and it's 5. So the clutch time is inside 5 and a 5-point game. So he missed a floater with 5:20. So inside 5. Okay, there's an offensive rebound from Conley. I don't know, man. He missed a 22-foot 3 with 2.5 left. Come on, Mike. No, man.
We're still waiting on it. Okay.
Oh, he made 2 free throws with 11 seconds to go.
Okay.
But he has not yet made a clutch time basket this season. So we're still waiting.
So you said in the moment, what is that timeout for? I think there was some good from that timeout of like, hey, if Jaden misses again, it's going to create a rebound. As soon as they rebound it, Daniel Gafford maybe, like just foul him, wrap him up. That is good coaching in one sense. However, to your point, when your opponent doesn't have timeouts and you have someone at the line, I mean, I think Chris Hine, who was on the scene and had really good media seats, even like maybe mentioned this, that Dallas was like, thank you for calling a timeout so we can kind of drop a play. So I don't know, just big picture, it does kind of seem like, I don't want to say it's unraveling, but it's just everyone is focused on different things. And I mean, Chris Finch is to that Grizzlies thing. Like he's closing with Mike, who hasn't given you much, but I think probably is more trustworthy defensively, as silly as that sounds, because Rob is getting hunted every time he plays. But like Rob's the only way that they get the ball spinning around sometimes on offense. So it's like we need to take a step back. And again, I've said this for like 3 months, but I think the ownership thing is like real close. And like you're going to get some news soon. And then I think from that, it's going to trickle down into like, let's say a Tim Conley extension. And now he's here and now he can figure this stuff out, hopefully before February 6th and the trade deadline. But I think they really need to embrace what I've been saying since October of like a step back, a gap year, whatever. Because what are you trying to do now? Like, if you think Dante has 9 toes, what are you going to, like, are you going to win on the second round playoff series against Denver without Dante? Just start Rob. Like, just start to embrace a youth movement. You don't have to trade Mike. Mike was good yesterday. Mike's a big vet. But, like, we're at a point now, 50 games in, that I don't know what the priorities are. And if the priorities are to win as many games as possible and try to be competitive, then you probably shouldn't have traded Carl. But they did. So it's just kind of like, I'm just back to what you said last week. I've thought about it every day, Phil. Trying to have your cake and eat it too, 2 timelines or whatever. That probably has to stop, and it probably has to stop, like, effective this Saturday when they have a home game.
It is weird, like the Dillingham thing. You know, he just turned 20. I think he's 20 now. He like just turned 20
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
in January, right? But he's trying to figure out the league. He's undersized too, so he's trying to figure this out. But you see these flashes of brilliance, especially his last like 150 minutes leading into this game, where he's hitting threes at like a 45% clip. He's got the little mid-range floater, like you said, the ball doesn't get stuck. He's creating looks for guys. He's even like, look at Anthony Edwards' numbers with Rob Dillingham on the floor, and Ant is getting unlocked in some certain ways that maybe he wasn't before. And what's confusing to me is you drafted him top 10 overall, and you know that he's not going to be a finished perfect product. But a lot of your finished perfect products, like Mike Conley, for instance, who is like a fully realized 20-year, vet or whatever, he has been terrible at times this season and still gets to play 32 minutes because he's a 37-year-old veteran. Why, after 9 minutes of he missed a couple shots and they're kind of hunting him on defense, do we just decide like, oh, he can't come near the court the rest of the game? That like unless he starts off hot and not a liability in the first 5 minutes he's on the court on defense, like only if he passes that test for that night does he maybe get 10 or 15 minutes. I don't know, man. Like that doesn't. I'm with you. I would give him the best chance by putting him out on the court as a starter with Anthony Edwards. So those guys are kind of attached at the hip. And I would play him 25 minutes every single night. And if you lose a game like last night, well, to your point, you're in play-in-ville at this point for this season. And Dante DiVincenzo's not coming back to save the day. So what are you trying to accomplish? I 100% agree with you, dude. And I'll say this on Josh Minott, too. I think he should be playing. Our guy, Britt Robson, tweeted out, I don't have it in front of me, but he tweeted out like something must have happened behind the scenes. Something's going unsaid with Josh Minott because he just all of a sudden is out. They're playing 7 dudes and he's just like can't crack it for 5 minutes. Detective Phil is on the case. I am here to report what happened to Josh Minott. This is exclusive breaking news right here on Flagrant Howls, your favorite Timberwolves lifestyle podcast. Okay? Here's what happened to Josh Minott. He hasn't hit a 3 in 3 weeks. Part of his job, like he's energy, he's all these things. Part of his job is to stand in the corner and not airball threes. And I would play him, but like you can't shoot 23% for like Jaden at least is shooting like 32%. He'll make one once in a while like he did last night. Josh has to hit shots.
That's crazy.
He has to hit shots. I know he's not going to be Ray Allen in his prime, but like he's got to hit shots.
That's crazy because every time Jaden played bad, they said you got to sit him for Josh. He costs 1/5 of what Jaden does, and he hits threes. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. On the Rob stuff, the single greatest move that Finch made this year, which was still 2-3 weeks late, maybe 4 weeks late, was putting Dante into the starting lineup because of Dante's ability to just give you. Mike's still a really good player, I think. But Dante gives you pace, Dante gives you defense, Dante gives you more spacing, and he just zips the ball around. He never played in Iowa, but he plays like the Iowa Wolves do of that 0.5 mentality, and he kind of knows how to get Julius involved a little bit, Rudy a touch. So when he went out, and you're like, okay, but we found this new way to utilize Mike with the second unit, and Mike doesn't have to play with Julius as much, and Mike can kind of run more high pick and roll and be Mike Conley. Why would you not then just replace Dante with Rob, who, last year, and I like Rob, and I'm like warming up to him, like the music counts are like, I think Rob Dillingham might be really good actually. And I wasn't there earlier. I just needed to see it. That's on me. But last year, I don't think Rob Dillingham should have been in the rotation because they just had better options. They had an identity. They were a really good basketball team. We were going to play 2 truths and a lie today. The lie
We
is
can still play
this,
that, by the way.
You know, the lie is that this is a good basketball team again. They're not. They're 23-21. They're just like a half dozen other teams in the West: the Lakers, the Clippers, the Kings, the Warriors, the Suns. Like, they're all kind of trying to figure it out. But you don't have as much, I don't think, risk by playing Rob more as you would have last year, right? Like, he could have upset the apple cart last year. It's like, just let Rob start, let him turn the ball over. Jake Painting from House and Growls actually had a thing about how when him and Ant are out there together, I think they turn the ball over less. Mm-hmm. Just let Rob get the reps in now. But this goes back to my bigger thing about being a gap year. It's like, let Rob just have volatile up and down play for the next 35 games so that next year when this thing is, I think, a little different, maybe a better fitting roster, maybe you address the coach this summer, because I'm way more of a let's talk about the coach in the summer than let's do it in season. Like, yes, I know the Kings have won some games. They're also, you know, where are they today, Phil? In the play-in? It's not like the Kings are the 3 seed in the West. So that's my biggest thing, is I would just embrace. I know Leonard Miller, Terrence Shannon Jr., he's still hurt, but like, people are clamoring for a lot of the other young guys. I need a little more patience on that. But for me, it's pretty simple. Like, if you pull up to Target Center on Saturday, I think Rob Dillingham should be the starting point guard. And then you bring Mike again off the bench to kind of fill that role that he embraced, and it worked for him when Dante had 10 toes.
Yeah, I agree. Despite what I said about Josh Minott, like, I would still play him. Nice mug, by the way. Supporting the Purple Daily Pine Class.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened with Josh, and I was kidding because, again, obviously Jaden's not hitting corner threes either. But
he's like 29% on corner threes.
Something must have happened, and the only, I guess this is like, I'm being apologetic for Finch, but the only thing that must have happened is that Josh has to be like a big, right? And now, if we pivot to Jaden, you do still have, despite the Dante injury and the questions about Rob and Mike, this team's like strength, rotation-wise, is big guys. Nas, Julius, Rudy, and Jaden. Jaden's playing more of a 4 and 5 now. I mean, Jaden McDaniels might be the best center on the Timberwolves.
Is he more of, okay.
Like, he's the best rim protector right now in the Minnesota Timberwolves. And by the way, Jaden McDaniels, this wasn't just against the Mavericks. Jaden McDaniels has been hooping his bleep off all January, but put him in the corner to try to be Mikal Bridges isn't going to work. But he was the best player on the court last night for the Timberwolves. He
was, and the 1-3 he did hit was like the biggest clutch 3 to give them, I think, a 4-point lead when it was down to 1 or something. Okay, this just occurred to me, and you can tell me I'm an idiot here. I'm just going to, it is a Reckless Speculation Thursday on SKOR North Podcast.
Reckless Speculation.
Size-wise, Jaden, not nearly as thick as the player I'm going to bring up here, but I think we've wanted Jaden and the Timberwolves to be a 3, right? Because in that starting lineup last year, and this year too, it's like he's playing the 3 in the starting lineup, and you got Julius at the 4, and you've got Rudy at the 5. And part of being a 3 in this offense is you're going to have to be in the corner and kind of be that guy who gets wide open threes. Well, he's shooting 29% on corner threes. Like I just said, 29%. And it was 36% last year, which is also not that great. That's kind of, I think that's a little bit below league average on corner threes. On wide open threes, Jaden McDaniels, like anywhere on the court, Jaden McDaniels shooting 34% on wide open threes, which is dead last on the team among guys who shoot threes. For context, Dillingham shooting 44% on wide open threes. Dante DiVincenzo, 42%. Nas, over 40%. So it's not just a 2-month shooting slump anymore. It is, he's just not a good shooter at this point in his career. And he's young enough, maybe sometimes guys add a 3-point shot in their, like Jason Kidd wasn't a good 3-point shooter until he was in his 30s. But is he more of like a Draymond Green than, like, the Warriors this is my hot take. The Warriors for years have used Draymond Green. He profiles as a wing player, right? Like he's a 3. But they use him as a 4 and a 5 in most of their like death lineups over the years. When Jaden is slashing and cutting and grabbing rebounds, he looks like he did last night. If you stash him in the corner and, hey, just sit over there and let everyone else, when he's active and defensively, you'd have to figure this out too. But I think they have to look at him differently. And when you give him a chance to bounce around and cut and do Jaden things. I'll give you one more nugget here that just doesn't make sense to me in his usage. Again, he is not a good three-point shooter, and yet almost half of his shot attempts come from three. But when you start to look at his field goal percentage by distance on the court, dude, it's wild. From point blank, sort of at the rim range, career 73%. Like, he's a really good converter, close range. From the paint, he is 45%. From mid-range, 10 to 16 feet, he's 50% for his career, 54%. So how can they get him shooting fewer threes and maybe even playing more of the 4 and, dare I say, the 5 with some of these lineup combinations? That's my question.
Draymond Green's a good one. I think we forget what Draymond Green was like at his peak. And like offensively, he was never a floor spacer, but Draymond Green is such a light years better passer and playmaker and screen setter than Jaden. I think Jaden McDaniels is like Jonathan Isaac, who is a 32% three-point shooter, but known as one of the best. He's 6'10", wiry, one of the best defensive players in the league, as is Jaden. And again, you're seeing it, right? Like, I still get the people being like, yeah, but he fouls out all the time. He's fouled out twice in 44 games. So that's, update your software. He has 4 of his 5 highest total rebounding games in the last 30 days. In his last 20 games played, he's averaging 6.5 rebounds. Which, again, I'm not throwing him a pizza party for being 6'10" and grabbing 6.5 rebounds, but he just simply never did that before. So I don't know what happened. I mean, you're right. Like, if you look at his basketball reference, he's a 35% career three-point shooter who's shooting 32% this year. But he's also like a 73% free throw shooter, and I think some of that stuff kind of ties in. I remember draft scouting where it's like if a guy's not a very good free throw shooter, he might never become a good shooter. So with Jaden, yeah, dude, I've had wet dreams about just what if you just had a fully healthy lineup of Rob, Dante, Ant, Nas, and Jaden. Or that was your mini death lineup. That team's going to have to figure out a lot defensively. Ant would have to not, even yesterday against Kyrie, Ant, you're awesome. What are you doing letting Kyrie get to the corner? It's the same thing that Steph did a week ago. You got to know where the best shooter is on the floor, and he just kind of gets so frazzled off ball. But I think the Jaden development, bias aside, is a really big thing for them because at the same time, Jaden is basically having a career year, rebounding, getting to the middle of the court, finishing around the rim. Your recently extended for 3 more years center has just kind of fallen off a cliff. And I don't know what that's about. I have no idea if he's secretly hurt Rudy Gobert.
It's weird.
But the rebounding, Aaron Gleeman had a really good thing today about just how his rebounding percentage has gone down every year since he left Utah. There's so many times where he doesn't jump. He's just trying to rebound on his tippy toes.
Yeah.
And again, is that health related or is it just age? But again, right message, wrong messenger. But I think the Jaden McDaniels stuff, I said in October that my prediction was at the end of the year he would be the second best player on the team. That stock plummeted. But it's kind of rebounded now, like the Undertaker meme. There's a chance that 3 months from now we're and maybe that's not good. If Jaden McDaniels is your second best player, I get it. Get your jokes off. But he won them the game yesterday.
Right.
Career high.
And here's the thing. And on the Draymond thing, obviously, Draymond, he's thicker.
No, I see what you're doing though. Yeah.
But it's my point, and you, Isaac's take a player that looks like he should be a 3 and put together some more creative lineup combos. But last night's performance, there are some games where a guy just goes bonkers from 3-point range, and it's not like he has taken the next step offensively or anything. He just hit 7 threes on 10 attempts, but when Jaden scores 27 points and it's only one made 3-pointer, and he's getting his offense in all these other ways, that tells me, despite the drop off offensively, his career high in points per game was 2 years ago at 12, and it's regressed every year since. But he has a bag, and some of it's kind of self-motivational. At some point, dude, you gotta figure it out.
100%.
But there are ways that you can unlock players that, and I don't want Finch fired, but there are ways you can unlock players, and I don't know. Last night should be a blueprint for him in some ways. Is there, to your point about like a smaller lineup of death as you go forward? Because presumably zooming out from like these games this week against Western Conference teams to like a 3-year window, Anthony Edwards is here, key piece, the next however many years. Rob Dillingham ain't going anywhere. Dante DiVincenzo is part of this thing. As of right now, Jaden McDaniels is on a long-term contract. Is there a world, and hell, Naz Reid, right? Like that's the lineup you just threw out there. Is there a world in which you just are running out a smaller starting lineup of Dillingham at the point, and then maybe DiVincenzo is your 2, and Ant is like a 2.5 or a 3, and then it's Jaden at the 4/5, Naz at the 4/5, and it's the antithesis of how you went to the Western Conference Finals with the Trees in 2023-24.
I've seen the markets. Like, I'm still gonna hold. Maybe it's because I'm so stubborn. I'm still gonna hold my Rudy Gobert stock and just see. I mean, we talk about this a lot. But like, there's a lot of guys that are having down years all of a sudden and regressing. And there's maybe 1 or 2 ingredients in that new stew that maybe if you just pulled those ingredients out, the soup would taste the same. So I'm not ready to give up on Rudy yet because, yes, it's really clunky. The defense, I mean, if Rudy Gobert is not going to protect the rim and defensive rebound, why are you here?
Yeah.
Like, this is office space of, like, what do you do here?
But which one of those 6? So let me ask it this way, because Rudy is under contract for like 3 more years.
And Dane Moore would like everyone to know you can't actually legally trade him today. You cannot trade him before the deadline. It is impossible. It's not legal. So just stop it.
Yeah, you can't because of when he signed the extension,
Correct.
right? You can't.
This summer you can, but like right now, like trade Rudy can't. So
yeah, let's just calm down. So of those 6 guys though that are as of right now, and I put Naz in there even though he's a free agent, assuming that they find a way to bring him back. Rudy, Naz, Jaden, Dante, Dillingham, and Ant. Which 5 of those 6 do you start and lean on?
This is actually
who comes off the bench as the 6th man of the year? Because Jaden coming off the bench as the 6th man of the year is sort of intriguing too.
Yeah, but I'm pretty intrigued by the fact that you're down to give up 200 points because I just said that Anthony Edwards has not really tightened it up defensively when he's off ball, and now your backcourt's going to be him and Rob and Dante. So again, I'm a big Jaden guy, as everyone knows, but I would pivot because this is an active conversation I'm having with people is like, what does it look like next year maybe, and whether Rudy's here or not. But if you had like a lineup of Rob, Ant, blank, Jaden, and Naz, so like you're trying to find who that small forward could be. Could it be a Leonard Miller? Does Josh Minott still have any chance with this franchise? Terrence Shannon Jr., and then Dante. I mean, I still think Dante DiVincenzo was built in a lab to be a 6-man that then could be in a 3-way rotation to close games next to Ant, in place of Rob, with Rob sometimes if you want to play smaller. But that's like going back to the cake and eating it too thing again of I think they got to start to figure out what is the goal of this season. And you told everyone, in my opinion, the goal of the season was to reset everything in the timeline so that when Ant is 26, the contracts look good, you have maybe some younger guys, and you don't have to pay Carl $70 million. Well, if that's what you said 2 days before Media Day, then why don't we just keep that same energy in January, start Rob, let Terrence come back because he'll have 10 toes, maybe see what Leonard Miller can do just like as a rebounder. And if some of that doesn't work, you get a head start on the next chapter of this. Because to me, I mean, I don't want to call it a lost season because the West, you wake up today and the Timberwolves, who are 23-21, are, what are they, Phil? 1.5 games out of the 5 seed. Mm-hmm. Right?
So they're tied for the...
They're tied for 8th.
They're tied for the 8th with Dallas right now. Yeah.
And they're 1.5 games out of 11th. I totally see that. But if you're going to go for it, I would go for it with younger guys that are going to get some valuable reps, kind of like you see. I mean, Memphis has more injuries, so they have to play guys like Wells, or Houston had some injuries. But, yeah, I just want to see them try new stuff. I mean, I think that's what every fan is saying now. We're just tired of the same closing 5, the same starting 5. So, yeah. But I also don't think it's as hopeless. I mean, the Jaden stuff, bias aside, has really made me feel positive about him again because you look at, like, who's really good defensively on the Pistons? One of the Thompson brothers. He can't shoot, but they win all their games. Who's maybe the best on-ball defender for the Rockets? The Thompson brother. He can't shoot.
Yeah.
So, like, you don't have to have 4 Steph Currys around Ant for Anthony Edwards to be a good basketball player. You do need to have defense around him. Jaden is their best defensive player now. He has just usurped Rudy Gobert for some reason, which is concerning. But I'm actually kind of more bullish based on what they did this week, even though the last 6 minutes of each game was a nightmare. But yeah, I would say stock up on the Minnesota Timberwolves right now.
Yeah, it's not. That's the crazy thing, because they're looking at the same standing, saying, "Man, if we can let's just grind out some of these wins, and we can be the 5 seed, and then we can have it click for the playoffs." But okay, maybe that happens. Maybe you do become the 5 seed, and that's great. But I'm with you. They are not on the level of Oklahoma City. They're not. If you want to look in the East, like the Cavs and the Celtics. I mean, hell, the Knicks right now. The way that Carl's playing, I mean, they're sitting there 29-16. But in the Western Conference bracket, like the Grizzlies are a level up on you. The way the Nuggets have been playing lately. So what are you really going to do? It doesn't mean that. And you know what's funny? I feel like if they were to just allow some room to unlock some young guys and give Dillingham a little bit more leeway than, for instance, last night, a better version of this team, it might be like a step back, but a better version might actually emerge in time for the playoffs. And now all of a sudden you've got 2 or 3 extra rotation guys, or maybe even a high-end scorer in Dillingham that you can unleash as, like a 6 seed going up against a 3 seed in the Western Conference playoffs. But this whole 7.5, 8-man rotation, just grinding out 35 minutes. Rudy Gobert, even with the sharp decline, is playing 2 more minutes per game at the same age, 32, that Kevin Garnett was playing, one of the greatest players of all time. It's like this is even some of the best players reduce their minutes at age 32. There's no reason why he should be out there for 33 minutes, 35 minutes every single night. How about 26 minutes of Rudy? Find some space for some other guys.
And you can say in one breath that Chris Finch was the coach and architect or helped take this team to the Western Conference Finals last year, and also say that he's just not doing a lot of stuff. I think my biggest concern with Finch is that he's doing certain things that I don't think he did in his first 3 or 4 years here. So it's while I was defending him, it's also wait a second, you're closing with I don't want to say political reasons, but you're closing with guys that might not deserve to close, but I think you're probably concerned about maybe a little defense here or turning the ball over here. But then you watch it play out and it's okay, well, you didn't turn the ball over, but you got a Ant step back 3 with 2 seconds left on the shot clock. That's not a good shot, right? Naz Reid subs in and he gets blown by Desmond Bane for a layup, 102-100. I can see what Finch is thinking, but it's also how many more times do we have to watch these games? It's not translating the way you would want it to translate, so why not try something different? I know we don't want to do a hour-long podcast, but can I ask you a Rudy Gobert thing quick?
Yeah. Can I? Yes.
No, you go first.
Real quick. I think we would be remiss to not say that if there's a pie chart of blame for the Wolves being the 3rd worst clutch time team in the NBA net rating, the other 2 teams being the Wizards and the Jazz. So you're right there with 2 tanking teams. The number 1 slice of the pie is Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is way too hero ball centric in these clutch time moments. He's shooting 26% on threes in clutch time. And as a playmaker, when they're doubling him and they're hedging, he has not figured out fully how to unlock teammates to get baskets. He's a step slow in his thinking sometimes. I will say, a lot of this falls on him in these moments too, to not just settle for a step back with a hand in your face. It's and if he makes that shot against Memphis, in which he's awful, and a lot of guys are. Jimmy Butler's awful at that shot, where the clock's ticking down. We're not going to run a play. We're just going to ISO. My worry is he's going to make one, and it's give him permission and Finch permission to do it 10 more times or 15 more times. So Ant has to be better in those situations. End rant.
And his teammates need to help him out. This is, to me, I don't love doing fire Finch is the new fake news. It can't just always be the beauty of this compared to any other topic you want to talk about in society is you can just look at me. Just go to League Pass and go to the final 5 minutes and just chart possession by possession who you would blame. It's that simple. right? Like that Grizzlies game, there's a lot of bad Nas Reed stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why they kind of was like, maybe we'll go to Julius because we're not getting any play creation. But it's like, okay, but what is Julius going to do, right? So I see the frustration, but if you don't have an answer in November, I would have leaned on the vets because we're just trying, I can at least trust them. But if the vets can't do it right now or some of these guys, then just let, when Terrence Shannon Jr. is healthy, let him get in there and see if he can get to the rim. See if he can create a little chaos. Like, see if Leonard Miller can just protect the rim a little bit, hit a 3, and grab 9 rebounds. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. Okay, your Rudy question, and then we'll get to a random Wolf of the week here.
His decline is evident. And I thought one of the coolest things, by the way, about Rob Dillingham, I did write this down. Rob subbed back in the Grizzlies game with 6'10", and he immediately ran a high pick and roll with Rudy, and he tried to give the ball to Rudy, and it went through Rudy's hands over to Jaden, who then got fouled, not in the bonus yet. Rob kind of yelled at him, and it was awesome to watch. Like, the 19-year-old just turned 20. He was like, catch the ball. So Rob Dillingham has become
we got a D'Lo situation on our hands.
I think he was. I mean, that's pretty cool that the rookie is like, hey man, like I'm trying to get, I need you to do this, or I need you to have your hands here. Like I thought that was a really cool Rob moment. Rob, despite his stature and lack of body weight, like I think he's got some dog in him. There's been a lot of cool stories this week about how Ant has really embraced him. Like you saw it, I think in New York. Chris Hine had a newsletter about how Ant said he sees a lot of Rob in him. I mean, I think that backcourt actually does have a chance to be really, really special. On Rudy Gobert, the biggest news this week in NBA land, did you see that trade between the Suns and the Jazz?
The 2031 first-round pick from the Suns for 3 Sooner first-round picks from the Jazz.
Did you see how a lot of people described that trade? They described it as the Jazz got a 2031 unprotected first-round pick from the Suns, which by then everyone on the team will be off it.
They think the Suns are going to be garbage in 2031, right?
That's what they think. They think it could be a top 5 pick, unprotected, and some 12-year-old right now at Red River High School has a chance to be drafted. But they said, the Jazz basically gave up 3 meaningless, crappy first-rounders to go get this cool first-rounder.
Oh, it's interesting. How many of those were Wolves picks?
A couple. It's interesting. So all those picks that they give, again, the Rudy Gobert stuff right now is not good. But I am still mesmerized by the people that don't think overall big picture Tim Conley is anything but like a plus. Even the Carl trade, which is like so right now not looking good. It could still look better down the road. I've seen Dane's spreadsheet. It looks clear. But how do you say that like the Rudy Gobert trade was not worth it? I'm blown away by that.
Yeah, the comeback is, did you want the Timberwolves to go to the Western Conference Finals? Did you enjoy the season where they went to the Western Conference Finals? And if the answers to those 2 questions are yes and yes, then that trade was like they don't get there. And they got there as the number 1 defense in the NBA, led by one of the best defenders. I know he was DPOY. We'll say he's one of the 5 best defenders in the league last year. So, yeah, dude. Like, and there's ways
they give up? Jared
well,
Vanderbilt,
they also have a stash of. They have a
Patrick
stash
Beverly's
of young
in Israel.
players.
Like what are we doing? Okay, they're giving up these picks now that are being packaged to like in a 3-for-1 to just go get another pick. So it's not good right now. But I don't know how revisionist history works on some of this stuff. That like you wouldn't look back at last year and say they took a bite at the apple, and now they do have some real. You said it a couple weeks ago, right? Like they need that next Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Mike Conley for D'Lo trade to kind of unlock some of this stuff. We are 2 weeks away from the NBA trade deadline on February 6th. Is Julius Randle going to be here? Is Nickeil Alexander-Walker going to be here? Who owns the team? But I just don't know how. I mean, it was kind of cemented this week of like, the Jazz realized that some of those picks coming up, like even the Wolves one this year isn't that good. So let's try to kick it down the road. Because when they traded for Rudy, they said all those picks were going to be good. Yeah, I don't get it.
They have young guys that they have a top 10. They have 2 first-round picks that they're not even putting on the court. So, like, I don't know, man. Let's get to a random Wolf of the Week here in a moment. A shout-out to Element Hotel, which is just steps away from Target Center. In fact, maybe you're an out-of-town Wolves fan, and you're coming in to watch a game at some point the rest of the season. Or maybe you just want to get a group of friends together and have a fun night exploring some of the best, most finest bars and restaurants in Minneapolis. Element Hotel, a Marriott Bonvoy hotel right by the light rail, a great place for you to enjoy a weekend or a couple of nights in Minneapolis. The rooms have city views, bright natural lighting throughout the hotel and hotel rooms. Perfect if you're flying solo or bringing the whole crew. It's also pet friendly. Maya Mackey is over here just growling out the window too. I don't know what she's doing. Maybe I'll send her to Element. Element Hotel, skornorth.com/element. That's skornorth.com/element. We have producer extraordinaire Ross Brendel, and because Kyle in the all-time Random Wolf of the Week standings is whooping me, I'm going to bring in a tag team partner today. That's right. Old Dex Tweets is coming in here for a handicap match.
By God, that's Declan's music.
And to tell you all about Kieran's Irish Pub, just across the street from Target Center.
Not contractually obligated at all to join this podcast. Kieran's just steps away from Target Center. Next time Kyle's in town, Kyle, let's go down to Kieran's. We'll just walk across the street. Got great pub food. Got great game day specials. I'll be there on Monday when they play the Hawks. I'm going to the Hawks game. Should be a blast. I'm going to go stop at Kieran's beforehand. You should go stop at Kieran's too, right across the street from the Target Center.
There he is. All right. We got Ross leading us through the Random Wolf of the Week here, gentlemen.
For this lifestyle podcast, in case people aren't familiar, Dex is one of the literally best in the business at what he does. I can't get enough of Dex on Purple Daily and everything else you do at SKOR North. Dex, I will just say this, though. If you ever try to add Jordan Poole to my favorite basketball team, you don't meet me at Kieran's.
Dude,
okay?
that was a
thing. We're
thing.
gonna fight.
That was definitely a thing on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
People, it was...
Jordan Poole is the single worst basketball player in, the league. He is he is the dude in pickup that wears an AirPod and just kind of vibes to the own beat of his drum and takes 30-footers and is like, defense, I don't know about that. Watch me take this 35-footer. I know the Julius Randle experience has been tough, but if I got to watch Jordan Poole eat up Rob Dillingham's minutes, I will do drugs.
You know what's funny is, when Draymond Green punched him in practice 3 years ago, everybody piled on Draymond. It's like, dude, why are you punching your teammates? And now 3 years later,
I get it.
It's like, yeah, okay. I kind of see. Yeah. I kind of see what the deal was there. So, okay, Ross is going to lead us through here. It's going to be, I am unilaterally bringing in Declan as my tag team partner, 2-on-1 against Kyle, who has a 26 to 15 lead all time in Random Wolf of the Week. In year 2, you're up 4-3. The last handful of Random Wolves are Jared Vanderbilt, Christian Laettner, Greg Monroe, and Tyus Jones. So Ross will throw out clues. We each get a heat check guess after the first clue, and then 3 incorrect guesses. If one of us hits a third guess, we are eliminated. Here we go.
I was at the Greg Monroe game. I went to that game at Target Center when he came off the street and dropped 25 points. It was one of the most fun basketball games I've ever seen in my life. I'm dead serious.
Was it three 10-day contracts he signed?
Yeah.
He played half the year on 10-day contracts.
Yeah.
I'm
But
pretty
didn't
sure.
he landed at MSP at 424?
Yeah.
I think got an actual lift. Just showed up at Target Center and was like, yeah, what? And then wasn't he good, Dex?
It was awesome. It was negative 25 degrees. I walked from the North Loop like an idiot all the way to Target Center with now my wife, who was meeting. It was the first time she actually met all of my high school friends. We had 8 tickets.
Ooh, okay.
So the Greg Monroe game is very much burned in my brain because of both of those reasons. Of she got to see my high school friends for the first time and got to watch me act a fool watching Greg Monroe drop 25 points while I was in the nosebleeds in the
Yeah, I think he played for 4 different teams that year. It was 2021-22. And good time.
I don't have my Greg Monroe notes handy, but we went really, really deep into his career in that year with the Timberwolves, because I think that year he had 4 different 10-day contracts, 3 with the Timberwolves.
Yeah, it was wild. Great way to
my
make
sources also tell me that Declan has studied really hard for today. He even asked me for a past list of Wolves.
I need the list.
wow.
I think he is really ready for this one. And that's fine. He's allowed to ask for that because you guys also have access.
Yeah, Dex, just make sure you don't guess Costa Kufos, Jared Bayless, or Omri Caspi, and we should be good.
Or for legal reasons, Shane Heel.
Yeah.
Just keep it moving.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, keep it moving.
Kind of. Yeah, kind of.
All right, here we go.
Let's get to this. Okay, this first Random Wolf of the Week, and don't forget the heat check, by the way, boys. This Random Wolf of the Week really, really really tested Ross's ability to come up with enough clues.
Oh, no. Declan just logs off.
Texas face.
That makes life a little difficult.
Okay, so, wow.
This would be a random wolf. That's an unofficial clue. Very random.
Sometimes the algorithm gives you Kevin Garnett. Sometimes it gives you...
I'm going heat check. Just Jordan Poole style, 35-footer. Lou Amundsen.
Oh my God. I swear to God.
Not Lou Amundsen, but you are the only person to get a heat check right.
Kyle did once hit a heat check guess. And it was amazing.
I'm always terrified when you open your mouth because I like this to go on a little bit. And when you kill it right away, it saddens me.
I'm trying to think of random 90s Wolves.
Me too.
I'll go with Keith McLeod. Keith McLeod.
It is not Keith McLeod. I'm also going to unilaterally give Declan one heat check, which would count towards a Phil victory.
Dude, this would be wild.
This would be epic, Declan.
So I feel like this guy is for sure random, but I feel you might have a few extra clues. I'm going to go, and he's not on the list. I'm going to go with Robbie Hummel.
Oh.
Yeah, Robbie Hummel. Pour one out for his ACLs at Williams Arena. It is not Robbie Hummel. It is not Robbie Hummel. Damn. I really hope Robbie Hummel listens to this podcast for about the once a year remembrance we drop about him tearing his ACLs at Williams Arena. This random wolf of the week, boys, per Wikipedia, count them, played for 27 different professional basketball teams.
What?
God. What?
That includes like Europe, I take it? Or
that is everywhere, Declan. That is
CBA,
everywhere.
Worldwide.
CBA.
That is everywhere where he can.
Prestige worldwide. Okay, so worldwide.
I'll tell you this. He played for a basketball team in Iran.
Good Lord.
Oh, boy.
27 different professional organizations.
We might have to just skip straight to initials here at some point.
Well, I hope you know clue number 15 is initials. So we'll see if we get there.
Oh my God, I do have a hard out in 10 minutes. Just so I might have to just bail.
Yeah.
I really thought you were going to say I have a hard out at 5 p.m. Like 2.5 hours from now when we're recording this.
I ran to clue 15 because I don't know what 2 through 14 are, but we have no chance at this.
I think you do, actually. This random wolf of the week played both small and power forward in the NBA.
Okay. All right.
This random wolf of the week stands 7 feet tall.
Oh,
Small and
interesting.
power forward at 7 feet tall.
Yeah. I was thrown off by this. I really was. When I did more research on this player, I had to be reminded about exactly what he did in the NBA, if that makes any sense.
7-foot wing player?
That's huge.
This random wolf of the week wore number 17 with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anybody remember any big number 17s?
Wait. I'm hopping on Google for one thing. Just hold on. Hear me out.
Don't Google, Kyle. Use your
Lou
noodle.
Amundsen wore 17. Oh, is this a syllable thing again where you're like, Ross?
Is it Lou Amundsen?
It is not Lou Amundsen.
Okay. That's
Lou Amundsen.
I have no
That's an
guesses.
official guess. That's an official
Is
guess.
that 3 syllables, by the way? Amundsen?
Yeah, it's 3.
Yeah.
Safely 3.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
Would he have? I know you don't have the list in front of you, but would he have come anywhere near the top 100 Timberwolves of all time?
Actually, I do not believe so. But at the end, I really want to know where this Timberwolf is.
Top 200, maybe.
I think he probably sits somewhere between 300 in the end. But I do want to know. I do want to know. This random wolf of the week played in just 172 career NBA games. This next one's incredible to me because I actually remember the run being a bit longer than this. But this random wolf of the week, rather, played in just 5 games for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh, gosh.
5 games.
This random wolf of the week last played professionally in 2019.
Okay. All right. I thought there was going to be some, like, random slappy from like the 80s or 90s, and at that point, I'm helpless.
No,
Yeah,
you guys
no,
will
this-
know the name. You will know the name when we get there. I'm fairly convinced of that.
Fairly convinced.
Fairly convinced of
pretty
that.
sure.
27 teams? 27. That's
So he's probably playing like Turkish league here, and then going to the Spanish league there, and then the
Definitely-
G League.
Definitely playing year-round basketball.
Okay.
This random Wolf of the Week signed as a free agent with the Minnesota Timberwolves in 2005, the year Ross Brendel graduated from the Lakeville High School.
5 games.
Free agent in 2005.
Okay, so
This random Wolf of the Week's last NBA game, gentlemen, was Game 4 of the 2006 Western Conference Finals, when his team lost in 6 games to the Dallas Mavericks.
Wait, so his last game in the NBA was in 06?
Correct. He played in Game 4. His team lost the next 2 games. He did not play in the final 2 games for his team.
That Mavs team went to the
Finals, yeah.
finals.
They beat the Heat.
right? They beat the Heat, or they got
They beat the Heat.
Yeah, they got beat
No.
by the Heat.
They got
they
beat by
beat the
the
Heat. Did they?
I thought their first title was against LeBron, the Mavs.
Yes,
was it?
Oh,
the
no, you're
Heat-
right. Yes. Yeah, the Mavs
yes,
beat the Heat.
Shaq and Wade Heat beat the Mavs. And
They
then
did?
The Mavs beat the LeBron Wade Heat.
Okay. Okay.
Subscribe,
Thank you,
like,
Declan.
and review. Flagrant House.
This random Wolf of the Week signed with the LA Clippers on September 25th of 2015, attempting an NBA comeback after 8 years away. However, he was waived just 8 days later. Comeback over. Oh, it's spinning a little bit in Kyle's head. I can see it. I can see it. It's spinning a bit for Kyle. I can see it.
That's like he played with KG.
This random Wolf of the Week. I always get confused on this, but I looked it up. This is where it's listed in a couple different places. This random Wolf of the Week was born in the Soviet Union.
Okay.
Oh, well.
Uh,
I don't know, man. This is tough.
was it okay? I don't think it's this guy. No, it's not that guy. Okay, I'm gonna guess. Was it Nikola Skidishvili?
Phil, you are correct. You are tied with Phil. Or you are tied with Kyle.
Skidishvili. He was a Nugget, right? Wasn't he a Nugget?
He was.
And then he went
Fifth-
to the Wolves.
5th overall pick by the Denver
Nikola
Nuggets.
Skidishvili.
If you told me that guy played for the Minnesota North Stars, I would have believed you. Like I don't know who
If you
that
would have
is.
told me, Nikola Skidishvili was at Dex's wedding, I don't think
Yeah.
Dex would have
Hold
known.
on. Here's a follow-up. Ross, don't answer this. For Dex or Kyle, and I don't know if I know. What are his initials?
Bro, I don't know.
Say his name again.
Nikola Skidishvili.
N. Is it Z? Is there a soft Z or something in there to start?
I can't comment.
clear.
'cause
Is
I'm
it
on
N-
his-
Is it NT?
It's
Or
I'm on his
NS.
Wikipedia page. It's NT. The
NT,
fact that Ross
TS,
was like,
TS,
you would
right?
know this? Yeah, TS.
I
TSI.
don't-
TSK.
I'm not even gonna attempt to spell it. I'm just gonna go to 2005.
How did you think I would know that?
Because you know NBA drafts, and he was the 5th overall pick in your lifetime.
I was
Yeah,
12.
dude,
Nicola.
Or I was 8. I don't know.
So he actually,
Yeah.
other players do give him a fair amount of, like the younger ones.
Okay.
Because he was one of a few like big men that could ball handle a bit of his day back in 2005.
That's right. It's because he's a 7-foot wing player,
Yep.
dude. Yeah, you want to pump
Nicholas?
up? You want to pump? Oh, Wemby. Oh, he's a praying. Yeah, he's a unicorn. Yeah, Nicholas Skidishvili walked so that Wemby could run and fly. That's
I'm
right.
checking. I'm doing some research right now to see if he's on LinkedIn. Oh my god.
There's a
Because I'm gonna reach out to him.
Soviet LinkedIn.
Look
There
at
is a. There is a.
I want to know what it was like playing basketball in Iran. Now, I think he's helped by not being an American, but I would love to know what that experience was like.
He's got 15,000 followers on Instagram.
We Tim Conley, if you're listening to this, we need a trade in the worst way. We need something else to talk about. Even our best segment in Timberwolves Lifestyle Podcast is gone off the rails.
Kyle, we're overdue for finding a random Wolf of the Week to appear on the show. So let's scratch our heads together, look at the list, and get one of them on.
Producer Ross, your assignment is Nikola Skidishvili. Let's go. Oh, man. All right, if you're listening still on Apple or Spotify, click the like button and the subscribe button. And over on the SKOR North YouTube channel, also click that like button, the subscribe button. All right, producer Dex, very helpful. And Roscoe for Kyle, this is a Timberwolves Lifestyle Podcast.